Hey everyone, so 8.18 is about a week away and we've got a few buffs and nerfs to talk about, plus we actually have some information on what the first round of preseason changes are going to look like when we finally get there. By the way, I'm doing an RP giveaway with a few of my cheeky pals Red Mercy and Solo Renekton only, so link is down below. It's $300 of RP up for grabs, so it's super easy to enter. So let's look at the buffs to start with, and we actually have two AD carries. Lucian is the first one, I guess. Their legendary skin isn't selling well enough, even though it's a really cool skin. So his Q-AD ratio has been increased from 60 to 100%, and it's now going to be 60 to 120% at rank 5. It is a good buff actually, and probably is going to make him top tier, or he's already like sitting towards the top of things right now anyway. He's really good on a good player if you can actually play him, and this is probably going to take him a little bit over the top. There are two things with this mainly. So number one, you max it first, so you will start to really feel the buff straight away in the game, and it is your main way to trade or to do damage early. The second thing is you do build a lot of AD on Lucian, and again, especially early into the game in your first two items, and that is what this buff is really all about, using more AD from your items in your queue. You have to remember as well, it's even on a 5-second cooldown with no cooldown reduction, which you will have some of from your Black Cleaver and stuff like that. So you get to use this buff over and over, and every time you use your Q, it will do more damage. I guess we're going to see a lot of Lucian in 8.18. He's already a lane bully, he's already very strong, maybe not as strong as Draven. Thank you for pointing out that in my last video, but still, he is designed to be a lane bully. Press attack is great on him, and this is just going to make that even worse. The other one is the complete opposite. We have some Vayne buffs actually. Her Q cooldown, her tumble cooldown has been lowered from 6 to 2 seconds now to 4 to 2 seconds based on rank. Now this one I can actually kind of get behind a little bit more, and it does make some sense. It helps her weakest phase of the game, which is early game, right? You can trade more often now, you can dodge a bit more, you can stay a bit safer. It's your only mobility, so having it more is really good. It's also your main way of trading. Like, it's a good chunk of damage, and most of the time you will auto into a Q to trade, and now you can't be punished as easily because it won't be off cooldown for as long. They actually also buffed her W damage a few patches ago, if you remember that, at rank 5, so you want to max it out quite early into the game. So what a lot of people do is they go 3 points into Q and then they swap to maxing their W. Especially that is actually with the blade into rage rate build that we see a lot of the time, because you apply it even more, so it makes even more sense. Obviously, it's kind of buffing the exact way that you actually want to play Vayne right now, so that is why it's so good. You can now get that W max, you have more damage, but you also have a lower Q cooldown, which by the way means more stealth in a team fight, not just more reposition and not just more damage. So let's move on to Aatrox. His heal has been increased. It's going up 5%, the final rank 5, and his ultimate AD increase from 20 to 25. It's now going to be 20 to 30%. So these are after the nerfs that we've had to make the healing worse versus minions, by the way, and his ultimate have a much higher cooldown. But it seems like now they are saying, yes, those are a little bit weaker, but we'll reward you for trading, so you can heal back more when you actually trade, and we'll even give you more AD from your ultimate if you can get to late game, so when you use it, it'll be more powerful. A 30% increase on your AD is no joke at all. It's really good, and games are going to go a bit later at the moment, so you might actually hit like level 16 and be able to use this a bit more often. Basically, when you fight, you will be a little bit stronger now. That is the entire idea. You might not be able to fight as often, but when you do, it will be good. Renekton is actually quite a big one, I think. So his E, his dash, when used with Fury, the armor reduction has been increased from 15 to 35 to now 25 to 35%, and the damage is also up by 10. So getting 10% more armor shred at the very start of the game is crazy for Renekton. Most people max this out second because the armor shred is so good. This also means though, literally every single fight before what, like level 10, level 12, when you're maxing your E, you'll be shredding more armor and doing a lot more damage. Considering you are built to bully early and do damage, I think this is a really good change. It's a pretty scary change as well though, right? Because Renekton already has a cheeky early win rate. It's really good, and this only makes that better. So the last buff this patch is for Victor, and it's actually technically no change when you fully upgraded it. So the hex score cost has been like juggled around. Mark 1 has been lowered by 100 gold, but then the perfect one, rank 3, the cost has been increased by 100. So it balances out. You get the first 100 gold faster, and that's so important to getting your laser and your wave clear, basically everything, which is why I'm counting it as a buff. It does make zero difference eventually when you finally upgrade it, but it will help your lane phase, and I feel like it's one of the areas where Victor does kind of struggle. So the nerfs are pretty much aimed at pro player, I think. You're going to notice this for a lot. We're getting towards worlds now, by the way, so it does make a lot of sense. Akali's ultimate damage has been lowered by 20 to 40 depending on the rank, and I still actually haven't seen that much Akali because she's permabanned, but whenever I do, she seems to do so much damage, it is ridiculous. Taking a little bit of damage off of that ultimate combo is probably not going to be enough for everybody to stop banning her, honestly, at least not for solo queue. What they might be doing though is nerfing her just a little bit so pros stop banning her in pro games and we see her more at worlds, because she is a really fun champion to watch. Apparently Viger is actually a good counter, by the way, so if you ever want to try that, it does work. The cage actually covers her shroud, and he can also W and Q his AoE damage to still hit her even when he can't see her. Ryze is also getting another nerf. His W, when used with Flux, by the way, the root duration has been lowered from 2 to 1.5 seconds. Ryze actually has the worst win rate in solo queue, like dead last, but they're still nerfing him, which shows on a good player just how good he can really be. It is 100% obviously aimed at pro play and the gank setup that he has, or like even holding them in place so he could, like, the time he has, I guess, to combo somebody down if he roots them. I honestly think, and this isn't even a meme, I think he will get reworked again because it's the exact same problem, right? Like, solo queue he's not very good, and in pro play he's amazing. Sejuani's E permafrost damage is going to be lowered a little bit, but the bigger thing really is your ultimate Ice Storm slow duration has been lowered from 3 seconds down to 1. The damage isn't going to make a huge difference, but the slow is a bit bigger. Slow is 80% by the way anyway, which is a lot, but this is the part that hits everybody around after it explodes. So it's making Sejuani worse for team fights because now it's more about that single target lockdown and not the utility that you have afterwards. Final nerf then is to Trundle. His E cooldown has been increased by 2 seconds. It's now 24 seconds rank 1, which is mad, but the slow has been changed from 30 to 50. It's now going to start at 15 and go up to 55. So this time it's not about his Q and his dueling, his damage. That was nerfed a few patches ago. It's about his utility now. So his pillar is going to be 24 seconds rank 1, which is pretty high, but it's also going to have half the slow percentage. Most people max this last as well. They go Q into W, so it'll be 15% for most of the game, which is not a big slow at all. He already took a hit actually after the last round of nerfs for his damage and his dueling, but he's still really good in pro play, which is the problem at the moment. So probably not going to be great for us in solo queue anymore, and this is aimed at pro play. So that is going to wrap up the 8.18 stuff, and if you want to check out the further video there, that's absolutely fine, but this is going to be the preseason development update, the first one we have. So these are some of the changes coming in the preseason in a couple of months. So like when the season 8 is finally over, what is season 9 going to look like? We have a kind of first little teaser part of that, I guess. So we're going to go through some stuff very quickly. And the first one is that the towers in the lane phase are going to be changing just a little bit. So you can see the idea of this is the lane phase is improved and slightly longer. And if you look at the tower, it looks very different, right? You've got these barricade things above and below as well. And it's going to show you if like any of them are still there, because you can actually knock them off. So each piece of the barricade can be destroyed, and it rewards a local player some gold. So it doesn't help the entire team or anything like that. It's literally just the person in the lane around who destroys that barricade at that point. Around the 10-minute mark, so actually not that far through anyway, the barricades go away, removing both the extra defense and the opportunity for gold rewards. So it's supposed to make the towers last a bit longer. In pushing lanes and stuff, your towers won't be nuked down really early into the game. Instead, the opponent will just get like some of these barricades removed, which gives them a bit more gold, but like it saves your tower. And obviously towers give a lot of global gold, which should help slow the game down. That's the entire point, right? It gives us more protected, slightly longer lane phase as well. Still rewards those who push early and the strong lane types like a Caitlyn or a Karma, for example, as well. That is the first thing that they're going to be trying to change. And the second thing is the comebacks are more achievable and more satisfying. So actually, the first part of this that we just talked about, the towers and everything, that is actually doing some help there to make sure that comebacks are possible, because obviously fewer early towers here takes preventing cases where a big gank leads to a big gold lead because you get the tower and then it kind of snowballs out of control, because that winning lane starts to run around the map and then crushes lanes that were pretty much even. I'm sure everybody hates that when a fed lane comes into your lane and ruins it because they took their tower too early. So that's kind of like part of it, right? But the other really cool thing about this, and I think the biggest thing out of the takeaway apart from the towers, is bounties are probably going to change. Bounties are a really good way to come back into a game because it gets you gold, it gets you like fighting as well. If you shut down that fed person, you get a massive gold influx, which is really good. So what they're going to be trying to do is they're going to be putting that into a bounty as well. So if you are taking loads of towers, if you're taking every single dragon, if you're taking Baron and Rift Herald and all these objectives and stuff, that is going to actually give you a bounty as well. And then, so if you're like ahead and not just through kills, controlling the rest of the map, not just getting fed through kills, getting fed through like towers and through dragons, through Baron, everything objective wise, I guess, that's going to add to your bounty, and it's going to make killing you like more rewarding and comebacks a bit more as well. But there's two other things. So obviously, if that happens, they're going to reduce the kill bounty a little bit, because putting both together could be a bit ridiculous. And they're also testing some reductions in global tower gold, because that's one of the biggest ways that teams actually snowball out of control. So last couple of things then, decided games resolve a bit faster. This is really cool. I like this because right now the way you end the game really is to get Baron and then push, and it's like wave clear doesn't work anymore, so you can actually finish it off and like get the inhibs and stuff. So melee and cannon minion health scale up much higher in the mid to late game game. So obviously those are the ones that tank the towers, the melees and the cannons, right? Those are the ones that get aggro first. They're going to be the ones that tank the wave. And if your wave clear is like worse against them, if it's hard to kill those and get rid of them, you have a bit more time for the tower and you have a bit more time. I mean, it's exactly why Baron works, right? It's just obviously they aren't going to be that powerful at the same time. So wave clear is not going to be as good as stalling the game out, I guess. You don't have to have Baron to actually win a game. Like if you get Baron and you take one tower, one inhib, for example, then you should be able to get the others because melees and cannons are a bit stronger, right? And finally, then we have a rune pass no longer dictating stat bonuses. So this is actually really key. Like it goes on behind the scenes. You don't get to pick anything right now, but some of the reason why you would take precision secondary is for the attack speed, for example. And if you don't have it, kind of feels bad on some picks and stuff like that. So now without having to like take a page properly, you can actually just like pick the stats you want. That's the entire point of this. So basically it literally is just you can pick out the stats that you want rather than having to like have a preset thing with it. So for offense, for example, you can pick AD, ability power, attack speed, or cooldown reduction, which obviously depending on what champion you're actually going to go is pretty cool. And defensive, you can go armor, you can pick magic resist, you can pick scaling health, or you can pick health regen. So that is going to be everything. I will link this down below if you'd like to have a look for yourself. The towers, obviously, the bounties, and everything. Those two are probably going to be the biggest things that we know so far. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Looking forward to 8.18 in Season 9 as much as I am. But thank you for watching, and for now, I will leave you with robots.